Okay, y'all, let's pick up with the second half of chapter 2, and this is the lymphatic system. And you know the lymphatic system is our system that fights off infection in our body. So I want you to make sure you go back through and you read over this lymphatic system. Know what the lymph vessels do. Know what the spleen does for us, okay? You'll find very important information in that. And your thymus, as well as your tonsils, okay? So know the function of these. If you can't remember, I know it's been a while since you've had anatomy, so make sure you go back through and you read over that again. Also in the lymphatic system, you do have this chart or this diagram in the front of your CPT book as well. Also know what the Peyer's patches does and the appendix. The Peyer's patches are found in the lining of the intestines and contain high levels of white blood cells, which help fighting infection and disease. And the appendix is a mass of lymphoid tissue attached to the first part of the large intestines. So that might be a question. The appendix is attached to the first part of the large intestines, and both of these organs help fight against invading microorganisms in your body. Okay. The next we have the respiratory system. Now know that you have your nasal cavities, your external nares, the pharynx, the larynx, the trachea. Know the different parts. This diagram is also found in the front of your CPT manual. Make sure you know how you have inspiration and expiration. Inspiration is when you breathe in, and expiration is when you breathe out. Now, the way that inspiration and expiration works, the diaphragm plays a part in this. Now, when you inhale, okay, that means you take air in. That diaphragm right here, it flattens. It's straight across. It doesn't look like a dome. It just looks like a straight line going across. Okay? Now, when you're ready to let that air out, what that diaphragm does is it starts back to make that dome shape and pushes the air out of your lungs. So that's expiration. Okay? And this is how the diaphragm aids in inspiration and expiration. Okay? So make sure you have your pharynx. It's divided into three regions, the nasopharynx or the air passages, the oopharynx, the food and air passages, the laryngopharynx, air and food passage. Then you have your larynx, it's your voice box. Your trachea is your breathing tube. And then, of course, you have the smaller branches of the bronchial tree and airways called your bronchioles. Now, this little guy right here is in the front of your CPT book as well. Make sure if any notes that you need to make sure you make them where he's located so you know where to go and find the information. Okay? Make sure, guys, make sure, I can't say it enough. The next thing that you have is your urinary system. Okay, you see right here one important function is you have that adrenal gland, and that's the endocrine coming from the endocrine system, sits right above your right kidney. Okay, so make sure you know where that is housed. Know that you have two ureters that lead down into your bladder. Okay, and your bladder is just like a balloon. As it fills, it grows, and then you have this sphincter down here right at the bladder that holds that bladder in place until you're ready to release. Now, sometimes when that bladder gets too full, a person may become incontinent and they can't hold it any longer. So it's very important to empty your bladder as you feel the need and the urge. Also, you have the reproductive systems. You have the male as well as the female system. Now, the organs of the reproductive system differ greatly between male and female. The reproduction is achieved through the production of 23 chromosome gametes called sperm in the male and 23 chromosome gametes called eggs in a female. And in the female, they house, feed, and protect a growing fetus through the entire gestational period. So complex individual are female. External genitalia males, you might need to make sure that you know this, and I could see a question being formatted to want you to be able to identify the external genitalia in males. So make sure you know that. And the internal genitalia in males. So make sure you know, differentiate and write it down on that diagram where you have that male penis in your CPT manual, the external genitalia, and then you need to make sure you have written down what the internal genitalia is. Okay. In females, same thing. Make sure you have listed what the internal and the external genitalia are. Okay. The next thing that we have, this guy is also in your CPT manuals as well. Here it goes through, I need you to make sure that you know what is found in the central nervous system and what is found in the peripheral nervous system. Okay. Your eyes. Now, y'all, make sure you know what the different parts of the eyes are. Okay. It's all listed right here. Make sure on that little eye diagram in the CPT manual, make sure you write down what different parts are and what they're for. Okay. And you all have all of that listed right here. I can see a question being formatted to this as well. Okay. So make sure you go through and you know this stuff. Also with the ear, know the internal ear and the external ear. Okay. So make sure you know that, everybody. Now we're going to move on to the endocrine system. Know your endocrine system, the glands, they secrete and excrete chemicals called hormones. Each gland is associated with hormones. They have a cause and an effect that are unique. Of course, we have so many different hormones and they do so many different things. So make sure you go over and you read back over these different glands and what their functions are. And write down anything that you feel is pertinent that you cannot remember. Just like I said, I know it's been a long time since you've had anatomy, so make sure you go back over that. Then you have your hematologic system. Now, y'all, make sure you have a good idea of this hematologic system. Okay? We have white blood cells in the hematologic system, the red blood cells. So the red blood cells are erythrocytes, and the white blood cells are leukocytes. And then you have what are called platelets. Platelets help you in your clotting process so you don't bleed to death. Okay. Now you have your immune system. Make sure you know what the immune system does for you. So make sure y'all make very, very certain that you go back and you read over this. Okay. Now also, if at the end of the chapter you so choose, you can go back and complete these review questions. It might prove to be beneficial to you and see how much you have retained. Okay. So make sure you go back and look over this stuff. Okay. So these will be kind of little sample questions that you might see on your test. All right. Okay, y'all. That's it for the second part of chapter 2. We will be completing chapter 3 shortly. Thank you.